Book summary: Mother's Love by Danielle Steel. Introduction: Life built on love, not fear. Halley Holbrook is a woman many admire. An accomplished, best-selling author living in New York's affluent Upper East Side, mother of twin daughters she raised with extraordinary devotion, a woman who appears to have it all. But beneath the polished surface lies complex emotional history Halley has never spoken of. Not even to her daughters, Valerie and Olivia. Halley's childhood was marked by deep trauma, abuse, and total absence of safety to define her early years. Determined never to let her daughters experience what she endured, Halley built life centered around love, security, and openness. Her writing career flourished, yet the wounds of the past remained sealed. Her daughters were her purpose, and their love gave her strength. But now that they are grown and moving away, Halley must face new kind of challenge. Who is she without them? Part 1. Turning point in time. The story begins during a momentous period in Halley's life. Valerie, her driven and confident daughter, is getting married to a successful Hollywood producer and moving to Los Angeles. Olivia, quieter and more introspective, chooses to follow her sister and seek new opportunities of her own. Halley is left alone in the spacious apartment that once bustled with a noise, energy, and warmth. With her 50th birthday approaching, feels the sting of time more acutely than ever. She reflects on her life's greatest pride, being mother, and the emptiness that now fills her days. Rather than allow herself to spiral into loneliness or grief, Halley makes bold decision. She books holiday to Paris, city she has always loved, to celebrate her milestone birthday and escape the solitude of the holidays. This act becomes the catalyst for a series of events that change her life. Part 2. Encounter in Paris. On her flight to Paris, Halley meets Bart Warner, businessman who exudes both charm and sincerity. Bart, also traveling alone, engages Halley in conversation, and they bond over literature, food, travel, and loss. Like Halley, Bart has experienced the death of partner. Unlike Halley, he has begun to embrace the idea of love again. During their time in Paris, Bart and Halley become inseparable companions. What starts as friendship slowly turns into deeper. Halley, who hasn't allowed herself to feel romantic affection since the loss of her long-term partner David, begins to sense her heart opening. Their Paris days are filled with lightness, visits to museums, long walks along the Seine, and late-night talks over wine. Yet beneath Halley's growing happiness lies the ever-present fear of vulnerability. She is still guarding the parts of herself shaped by pain, unable to let go completely. Part 3. Shadows return. The blissful escape takes sharp, dark turn when Halley's handbag is stolen in Paris cafe. While inconvenient, the theft alone isn't what shakes her. It's the events that follow. Strange emails begin arriving. Her hotel room feels watched. She notices a man in the street who appears repeatedly. Threatening message appears, suggesting the theft wasn't random. These events trigger intense anxiety in Halley, resurrecting long-buried fears. Of being pursued, of being powerless, is horribly familiar. It transports her mentally back to her childhood. Time when she was truly unsafe. Halley had worked for decades to move forward, to never think of the past, but now it grips her with terrifying strength. She confesses some of her distress to Bart, but initially resists opening up about the full extent of her trauma. Fear has always been something she outran, not something she faced. Part 4. Confronting the past. Bart, deeply concerned and protective, encourages Halley to speak to the authorities. He helps her file police report, hires private investigator, and offers emotional support. More importantly, he listens without pressure or judgment. As Halley finally begins to share fragments of her childhood, we learn more about Halley's past: an abusive foster home mother who vanished without explanation, young girl who grew invisible, neglected, and afraid. These experiences shaped Halley into someone fiercely independent and guarded. She built life on the principles of love and care because she knew intimately what life without him felt like. With Bart's encouragement, Halley finds her strength again. She becomes more assertive in her dealings with the French police. She works with the investigator to locate the man stalking her. Her courage becomes an act of defiance against both the thief present and the ghosts of her past. Eventually, the thief is caught. Petty criminal with history of harassing vulnerable tourists. But for Halley, this outcome is less about justice and more about symbolic closure. She chose to stand up, to speak, and to defend herself, something she couldn't do as a child. Part 5. New foundations. Halley returns to New York transformed. Paris didn't just rekindle her confidence. It shattered the emotional walls she had built over decades. Her relationship with Bart, now sustained long distance, deepens into something real. They talk daily, visit monthly, and begin planning shared future that respects both their independence and growing love. Perhaps more important, Halley opens up to her daughters. Valerie and Olivia return New York for a visit, curious about the changes they see in their mother. Her brighter energy, her increased openness. Sitting down with them over coffee, Halley tells them the truth about her childhood. She speaks not with bitterness, but with honesty and strength. The moment is powerful. Her daughters are heartbroken by what their mother endured, but overwhelmed with admiration for how she turned pain into protection, fear into love. They begin to understand why she parented them with such fierce determination, and how much she sacrificed to give them the life she never had. Part 6, Writing the Truth. Encouraged by Bart and her daughters, Halley begins writing again. Not fiction this time, but memoir. She pours her history onto the page with raw candor. The process is excruciating but freeing. Through the writing, she realizes that the only way to truly let go of her pain is to give it voice. Her publisher is deeply moved by the manuscript, and the memoir is fast-tracked for release. When Mother's Love hits the shelves, quickly becomes bestseller. Readers are stunned by Halley's vulnerability and resilience. Messages pour in from women who see themselves in her story. Survivors of abuse, mothers, daughters, women on their own journeys of healing. The book isn't just personal triumph, it's cultural one. Halley begins speaking at book events and interviews, advocating for trauma recovery and the power of maternal love. She finally understands that by sharing her truth, she empowers others to share theirs. Part 7, Love, Legacy, and Letting Go. Months later, Halley's daughters throw her a surprise celebration for her 51st birthday. Bart flies in early to help plan the party. The event is held at Cozy Rooftop Garden in Manhattan. Intimate, elegant, and filled with people who'd love her. In her speech that evening, Halley reflects, "For years, I thought my job as mother was to give my daughters everything I never had, and I did. But I've learned something else. That healing doesn't come from hiding the pain. It comes from sharing it, from owning it, from loving others enough to tell the truth." She closes her speech with toast to Valerie and Olivia, thanking them for giving her the one thing she never should find, peace. Bart proposes few weeks later. Not with an elaborate plan, but quietly on park bench. Halley says yes. The wedding is small, with just family and close friends. Halley wears simple white dress and wide, joyful smile. Epilogue. The life she built. The novel ends with Halley back at her writing desk. She is working on a new book. Fiction again, but richer now, filled with characters who speak with the wisdom she has earned. She looks out the window at the city she calls home. There is laughter downstairs. Valerie and Olivia are visiting with their partners, and Bart is in the kitchen making coffee. Halley reflects not on the pain of her past, but on the love she created from it. She gave daughters what she never had, and in doing so found her own healing. She finally understands that mother's love is not just about protection. It's about truth, connection, and the courage to be whole. Key themes in the novel. Emotional resilience. Halley is portrait of inner strength. Despite traumatic past, she carves life of meaning and love. Her journey shows that survival is just the beginning. True healing takes courage and vulnerability. Motherhood. Steel examines the lengths mother will go to give her children better life. Halley's devotion is unwavering, but the novel also explores the cost of hiding pain to appear strong for others. Rediscovery in midlife. Halley's 50th birthday is symbolic. Not a decline, but a rebirth. Her Paris journey illustrates that new beginnings can happen at any stage in life. Romance after grief. Bart is more than a love interest. He is a symbol of the possibility of joy after loss. Their relationship is built on emotional honesty, something Halley never thought she'd experience again. The power of telling one story. Hal's memoir becomes turning point. Through writing, she finds it and contributes to broader conversation about abuse, healing, and survival. Final thoughts. Mother's Love is classic Danielle Steel. Intimate, emotionally rich, and anchored in hope. It tells the story of a woman who refused to be defined by her past and who chose love over and over again, even when it hurt. In Halley Holbrook, readers find not just mother or writer, but warrior of the heart. Reminder that it's never too late to start again, to speak your truth, and to reclaim joy.